I put my money in 5 places. I put my money into my own business. I invest my money into real estate. I invest my money into stocks. I invest my money into speculative assets, which includes cryptocurrency. And then I own some physical gold. So starting with my own business, I run a company called Briefs Media. We're probably most known for our Market Briefs newsletter, where we break down what's happening in the financial markets. So that's Briefs Media. Number 2 is I invest in physical real estate. So I'm going out to buy rental properties that I can use to generate cash flow. Number 3, I invest in stocks. This is in the form of investing in individual companies and investing in funds. Funds are ETFs, index funds, mutual funds, where you can get investment into a broad basket of companies. Number 4 is my speculative investments. Notice how I said number 4. This is one of the smallest pieces now, which are things that I believe can go up very quickly, but can also fall just as fast. So these speculative assets, which make up a small piece of my portfolio, include things like startups that I invest in. It also includes things like cryptocurrency. And then I own a little bit of physical gold. Physical gold makes up about 2% of my portfolio. But going back to cryptocurrency, because that's what you asked, I think it is a speculative investment. I have made a ton of money in cryptocurrency. And I started buying cryptocurrency before it was as popular as it is today. I began buying it in 2016 or so, when Bitcoin was around 3,000, maybe 2016, 2017, when Bitcoin was around $3,000 a coin. And I have sold some. And for me, I understand it can go up very fast, but it can fall just as fast. And the issue that I have is when people now want to get into this idea of investing, because now they're in this tough situation. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and I hear about this financial education and investing. If I just dump my money into Bitcoin or crypto, maybe it'll 10x and I'll have financial freedom. And that's where I have issue. Because you're taking your money and you're going for your long-term investments into a speculative asset that hasn't been proven. Maybe it will work and you'll become a multimillionaire. Maybe you'll lose everything. But I don't want to gamble with my wealth. I want to build my wealth with something established and then use the speculative assets as something that is speculative and treat it as such.
In terms of your net worth then, how is it broken down in terms of percentage between these 5 things?
So if we look at real estate is probably close to almost 50% of my investments.
Okay.
Stocks make up probably right around 30%. Speculative is about 18% of my portfolio.
Sorry, the 30%, how much of that is into individual company stocks versus ETFs?
It's about half and half.
Okay, so 15% each. Okay, cool. And then speculatives?
About 18%.
And how much of that is like crypto versus startups?
It was a lot more crypto. Now it's a lot more startups. I sold a chunk of Bitcoin when it was breaking record highs, and I'm going to be using that money to buy some more rental properties.
Okay. And gold?
About 2% of my portfolio.
Okay.
And the reason why I buy gold, I myself don't consider gold an investment. I look at gold as a way of saving hard money, because my theory is if I take $10,000 of cash and I take $10,000 worth of physical gold and I bury both of these things in my backyard today, in 10 years, what's going to have more buying power? My theory is that the gold is going to have more buying power. And so that's why I own some physical gold. For me, it's this way of saving hard cash. I look at it as a insurance against doomsday, against something really bad happening, against something bad happening to our currency, something bad happening to the economy. That's why I own a little bit of physical gold. But the problem with gold is when I own my physical gold, it just sits there in a vault. It doesn't produce cash flow. It doesn't create new value. It just sits there. When I invest in real estate, it produces cash flow. When I invest in stocks, the companies are working to produce a better product, to grow their profits. The gold doesn't do anything.
What about cash? Do you keep a lot of cash on hand?
Cash is definitely a position. I don't know about percentage, but I always keep cash. And I'm going to break this down a few ways. Because I have one, let's call it bucket of cash, which is my emergency savings. This is cash that is there to protect me against an emergency, my personal life. I also have a separate bucket of cash, which is my business emergency savings. Then I have a bucket of cash, which is there to be invested money. This is money that's waiting to be invested in real estate. And then I have, and stocks. And then I also have another little piece of cash that's waiting to be invested more into speculative assets. So I have cash waiting to be invested in speculative assets, cash waiting to be invested in real estate, cash waiting to be invested in stocks, and then I have my emergency cash. So I like to separate it all out. If you enjoyed this clip and you want to continue your financial education journey, I have another video that I think you'll love. All you got to do is click that button right over there. And for those of you who want to stay up to date on the top finance and business news, you can join Market Briefs, my free financial newsletter, by clicking that button below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.